I love the intersection between the internal work and philosophy, because then the internal work, it sort of gives us that emotional regulation. Like we could become emotionally strong, we could be more emotionally available, we know how to communicate more
Mm.
effectively. We,
Mm.
by extension, also become, or rather improve our mental well-being, because then we're not able to, or we are able to overcome all the intrusive thoughts that we get, like, oh, did that relationship fail because of me? Right? Am I going to get fired? Is because someone else did something bad to me, what does that say about me? When you're able to do the internal work and see things for what they are, it's a really, really big shift between our perception of things and reality, right? And
Mm.
that's what gets us essentially through being mistreated in any way. Because then we become invincible when we realize that something I couldn't control blew up in my face. That is not my problem. Well, it is, but it's not your fault.
Yeah. Oh, it's all you could say at the end of the day. If it does blow up in your face, GG.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
even fuck them.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
if
not
if
bad.
they end up being shitty people, hey,
Fuck
you know,
them.
it's not any reflection of who you are, and that shouldn't degrade your self-worth in any way. But that really comes down to our perceptions of self and being able to actually recognize the difference between our perceptions and reality. And that's also situational, right? It's like, let's say uh, your girl doesn't text you back as quick as you hoped, right? Like the immediate, let easy example, because relationships are just so easy and they're so prevalent because everyone like talks about them.
Yeah.
The immediate thought is that she might be cheating on me, you know, or something
Mm.
something stupid like that, you know. But even if they give no indication that that could be the case, that's immediately what we default to. We immediately
Yeah.
think of the worst case scenario, right? And so it's really about trying to have that distinction between what we're actually thinking randomly and what's actually happening. Because then that gives us the ability to just even step away and be like, oh, okay, well, they've done nothing in the past that sort of suggests they'd do that to me. They don't really seem like the type to do me dirty like that, you know? They
Yeah.
should they should be able to just talk to you about things, especially now you can employ all your little communication skills now. Wonderful. But it really, really comes down to being emotionally aware and your mental well-being being greatly improved because of that. And so when you
Yeah.
have the internal work, you're able to basically maintain yourself through any situation. But when you bring
Yeah.
in philosophy and meaning and an approach to suffering, that mix of the two gives you an insanely coherent way to approach life. And then you're practically invincible.
Emotionally setting yourself for for anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's actually good.
And you'd be
Yeah.
able to handle anything because you know that even if you did all you could, it's not a reflection of you, right? Even if it hurts, right? And okay,
Yeah.
this is not to say that you're invincible. I did say I did use that word, but not in the sense that you can't get hurt, but it's that
Oh
you
yeah.
could bounce back from anything. And you could do that effectively. Because people could just never trust a woman ever again, for example. I mean, reasonable with how much they were hurt, but is it actually the case that they can't? Right? Because then you can also apply that sort of perception versus reality thing to being like, oh, okay, well, I got cheated on. This one's going to do the same, you know, but when these are
Yeah.
really, really different people, right? Like
Yeah.
it's something that I even fell into for quite a while. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get destroyed. They're gonna just drain my bank account or something, you know, something like that. And then, especially on things like TikTok or Instagram, you see all these stupid influencers, sort of like Fresh and Fit, for example, I don't know if you've heard about
Yeah.
them. They're big in the West. Or guys going up to girls in Miami, asking them what their preference in guys are, and then or studies from Tinder users, right?
Oh, I think I've seen those.
Exactly, and so you'll have a lot of these guys make vast generalizations because that's all they see online, right? So you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, shit.
Mm.
Like, I'm not 6 feet tall. I don't make 6 figs. I don't have a 6 inch, you know?"
Yeah. Uh,
But
Yeah.
and then you start to get really insecure, and then you really start to think about, "Oh, okay, well, if that's all there is, then I'm screwed." And that builds a lot of resentment, right? But it really comes down to our perception versus reality, right? Because
Mm.
are these influencers actually getting anyone decent for this? Chances are they're
Yeah.
all going to be a certain kind of
Mm.
person, right? Like, look at the people that they bring on into Fresh and Fit, right?
They don't
They're
really
like Miami strippers. You want a Miami
exactly.
stripper? You know? One analogy that I made that I'm actually really proud of is
Yeah.
let's say let's say I wanted to move to the Philippines, for
Mm.
example, in this thought experiment. And we're in a conversation about it. And I go, "Oh, Kyle, I I can't go to the Philippines. Have you heard what's happening in Sweden? They have no-go zones. Like cops and ambulances can't even enter. They have curfews at night so that women don't get raped. It's too wild over there in Sweden.
Yeah.
Like I could never move to the Philippines now." Do you realize how dumb that is? Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm just using the situation in Sweden to justify my
Not
fear of whatever will happen in the Philippines. Like these the people that they bring on aren't even relevant to you if you're actually looking for something decent,
yeah.
right? So if you are looking for a decent person, why would you care about the show bringing on Miami strippers? They're what are they to us? Fucking nothing. You wouldn't even breathe in their direction. You might catch
Oh,
something, you know?
yeah.
Exactly. And so it's really about these vast generalizations and the internal work necessary to actually recognize that and to be able to stop yourself. And so
Yeah.
that's really what it comes down to because then you get clarity on pretty much everything. And that makes your life way, way easier.
Mm. Yeah.
Just really knowing what you want.
Exactly. And then seeing if it's actually out there, but then that really just comes down to talking to people. But then
Yeah.
you can also use that little communication bit and see if they're willing to have that hard conversation. And if they are, then maybe they're worth your time. But if they're not, hey, move on. That's okay.
GG.
It's not a reflection of you. There are lots of shitty people in the world. You just happen to come across one. Who cares?
Uh,
Get back out
Still a
there.
lot of people. Yeah.
It's true.